What's up, everybody? Welcome to Blade Talk with Scab Joe. So good to see you guys all here today with us. Sit back, relax. We got a pretty good show here. We got Wingman 115, original designer, Work Tough Gear design, original designer of the Mount Laguna knife. We're going to see seeing a lot of that knife on this video. And as always, guys, we as far as our channels, my patron channel is Steel Forge and Fire Sword and Knife, and partnered with Scab from ChoirBoyz Cutlery Outdoors. Please be so kind to visit our channels and give us a sub as well. We support our vets on Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Vets is a place for you here. Hashtag 22 a day, no more. We got a raffle coming up, guys, for our vets towards the end of the month. So please inquire from within, and maybe we'll talk about it. We'll touch upon it a little bit on this this live as well. So without further ado, let's bring my partner in, Mr. Scab, and also Wingman 115. So here's Scab and Johnny. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Hey, no problem.
We really appreciate it, man. Here's what we'll do, Joe. Since you and John have spoke, why don't you start us off and let's get into this thing. I do want to say this real quick. John, we may touch on our raffle a little bit during this thing, the veterans raffle, especially with you being a veteran. We want to push that. And I'm glad you're here, man. I love the knife. I'm not just saying that. It's been a hell of a day getting here. You had a hell of a time logging on. I got out. Joe says 7:30 and then wants to start at 7:05. 7:30. But I got out of the shower and had a damn tick on me. So that was a major to do. It's that season. Well, it's always that season in Florida.
Yeah,
man. I sat down in them yesterday. So I had them all locked on to me. But it's been a mess. But I'm glad you're here, brother. Joe, go ahead and take this thing over and let's go.
You told me a really interesting story as far as where do you want to start? I mean, in terms of we both reviewed this knife. I absolutely love this knife, and not because the designer is in front of my face. Okay, I really do genuinely love this knife. I mean, when I used it, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I used it. Scab reviewed it. He loved it. When I used it, I found more comfort in using this with a specific, just one particular demonstration, because I get fat wood from Home Depot, and that fat wood is like cutting into rock.
Yeah,
okay?
It's
So
hardwood.
It's just crazy how hard it is. So I always found that I had to struggle to really get through it. But for some reason, I had this in my hand. I got through it with no problem. Just, I don't know, the contour, the weight, the balance of it, the edge, it did a really, really good job. And yeah, I mean, just the aesthetic of it, everything about this knife, I really, really love. But that just goes to like pretty much a lot of Work Tough Gear, and pretty much you brought your design to them, but they turn it into gold. I mean, that's just what they do. They just turn it into gold. I mean, the way they basically the heat tempering methods and how they forge their steel and what they do to finish up their blades, I've never seen anything like it. And they do a great job. But how did you get inspired by something? Did something happen with a knife that you wanted to say, listen, I want to design something according to what I like? Or how did you come about just wanting to design a knife yourself?
Well, to answer that, we have to go all the way to the beginning.
All the way, buddy. Go ahead.
We're going to take it old school.
All the way.
So I'm a product of the mid 60s and was born in Connecticut. My family originally was from Maine. And I want to say I was born in 65. Around 1969, my parents had enough with the quote city life of living in Wallingford, Connecticut at the time. And they decided to relocate back to my mother's hometown where she was born, a little town in northern Maine called Portage Lake, Maine. Population 500 people.
Wow.
So, I mean, small rural place. So my parents saved up money. They literally carved out a homestead out of the North Maine woods. And I grew up on that homestead. My dad was a logger for a while. My grandfather was a lifelong logger. Then my dad was a heavy equipment mechanic, but we were all in the lumber industry and agricultural industry. And as a kid growing up, um, I was immersed a lot into the hunting and fishing culture. Even my mother was an avid fisherman. She actually fished better than anybody else in the family. And she was doing it ever since she was a small girl. She would go to the lumber camps in the 1940s and early 50s with my grandfather, when my grandfather was like a foreman in charge of basically road construction, because he started out back in the day when you used to yard timber out of the woods with horses. And then with the advent of logging trucks, they needed roads, they needed bridges. So he was the guy to get that done. But a lot of times he'd spend a month or two out in the woods. My mom would go out there with him. So I had all those influences. And as I started growing up, my adolescent years and such, I had a trap line. We trapped beaver, we trapped muskrat, we hunted white-tailed deer. I bow hunted. I mean, we did, it was the perfect life for a young person growing up. And it taught me a lot, in a short amount of time. You were expected at 12 or 13 to man up and start doing man stuff, working in the garage, doing this, doing that. But so I was always surrounded by older individuals. And I noticed that a lot of times these older individuals, what sort of knives they carried, it wasn't the big 6, 7 big Rambo knives. That wasn't popular until Vietnam and some of the movies came out after the Rambo movie, and then the fantasy knives really started to take over.
Sure.
Before that, the knives that I was used to seeing was the buck knives, a buck knife maybe 5 inches long. So those were the influences that I had growing up. So let's bring it fast forward 2006. This year is the 15th year mark on YouTube. And thinking back, of all, I'm coming up on almost 800 videos on the channel. It's just mind boggling, the journey over the years. And I was reviewing so many knives, and I'd go to shows and people would ask me questions, and they go, if you could design a knife, how would you do it? And you know what? I never really thought about it over the years. And I said, you know what? We're going to go back to the roots. We're going to go back to where it all started, with the influences of some of those old trappers, the old loggers that I used to see as a kid growing up in northern Maine, that a lot of these guys didn't have more than a 4.5 inch blade. And, nowadays people are chopping trees with their knives. And so back in the day, if I was batoning with my blade, my grandfather would have slapped me right here on the back of the neck. Yeah. And he would have said, boy, grab the axe. So, yeah. I don't really baton a lot on the channel, but I understand the need for that. But with that mindset, I was out there to design something that was functional for hunting, fishing, food prep, camp use, just an all around. But the thing is, I wanted to make it affordable. That way somebody didn't have to worry about, hey, do I get a knife, or does the kid go without shoes or a football helmet this season, So that was a lot of the thought process that went into the Mount Laguna.
That's awesome. You got some history there, man.
Thanks.
Some history. That's impressive.
The thing is, too, with the Mount Laguna, the Nomad EDC, the Lynx, and perhaps another one I might be missing, I think you guys have tapped into a market, and it's one I've gotten into with the pocket fixed blade. I stick it in my pocket. With my job, I powder coat, sandblast, all that. A folder's not going to hold up. Now, I love my folders, but here in the past, I'd say 6 to 8 months, well, really a year, I've really, really got to where I love the pocket fixed blade, and I love the design on yours. It is an older school design, but that's what they had. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and it's the same thing. He grew up in Pennsylvania, I grew up here and in South Georgia, and a lot of the guys didn't carry bigger knives.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was just at Blackie Thomas's gathering, and none of those guys. But what you've done, or what I feel like you've done, one is impressive because you've taken an old school blade shape and made a pocket fixed blade out of it. And two, I think that's kind of the next wave and next market. You know, because folders, I love folders. Everybody loves folders. But I think people are going to go more and more and more to the pocket fixed blade because you can do so much, and the damn thing's, it's indestructible. When you put Work Tough Gear's heat treat on it. Now the K110, that's basically D2, correct? Or am
Correct.
I wrong?
That's a I want to say it's an Austrian tool steel. And the reason they went with that is because originally I was thinking 1095, right? Everybody's on the 1095 kick. But over where Vic makes the knives, 1095 is really expensive. So we went back and forth, and you know, he's the pro on something like that, and you have to value, you know, the knife maker's opinion on that. He goes, hey, I think, because I wanted something that was going to be corrosion resistant. I know from growing up in Maine, you're in Florida, there's a lot of humidity, and the knives are going to get wet. You're going to use them. And that's not saying that you're not going to get a little bit of rust on this blade. I don't think there's any knife that is going to be 100% resistant from corrosion in some form or another. But I wanted to make it as corrosion resistant as possible and still function as a hunting knife. You know, granted, there's 440 out there. There's 440A. There's a bunch of different stainlesses out there. But I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to use something that was just, you know, a notch or two above that type of steel. And when Vic and I were talking, because there was a lot of late night conversations on this because he's halfway around the world. So, you know, I would get up early, 2, 3 in the morning before I go to work. We'd sit down, we would Skype, and we would go back and forth. I would show him a drawing. He would comment on it back in what, and here's a crazy thing is Vic, before he moved back to Taiwan, used to live in the same town that I'm living in, just south of San Diego, lived about 4 miles from where I currently live. So it's just such a small world that we live in regards to that. But that was a really cool story. And Vic and I immediately had a really good connection. When I originally designed this blade, I was trying to get it made in America because, you know, we want to support small cottage industry businesses. The only problem is I couldn't make it affordable and have the quality that I wanted and still have it made over here. When you're factoring in all the hidden fees that go into stuff, you know, when you hire somebody, there's workers' comp, there's liability insurance, there's permits, and then there's all the sales taxes and just a myriad of things that went on top of that. The average retail of this blade, if I was going to make it in the States, and I pitched it to no less than 5 companies, was around $250. And I was like, I can't do that. I wanted to make a blade that the average person who wanted a good quality blade could go out and afford to have a knife. I didn't want them to have to sacrifice something for their family in order to buy a knife. So when I approached Vic, because I had done a couple reviews for Vic, and I said, hey, I have a knife design if you'd be interested. And I was surprised that I was the first designer that he had talked to, because he had designed all the other knives that they had currently had, the Bushman, the Cuyamaca, and all those in-house, and they hadn't taken on any designers. So we started talking about it, and then we were trying to figure out how contractually, you know, we were going to do this and set this up. And then we came to an agreement, and then the rest is history. It took maybe about 6 months a bunch of calls. He sent me a handle to try, and I gave him the green light, and then we went into production. But I mean, it was
one
kind of
thing
like
they do,
meant to be serendipity type thing.
the one thing they do and do very well is heat treat. I'm watching some of the comments here.
They do.
Buck is known for heat treat. You can't talk about heat treat without talking about Buck. But I'll say the same for Work Tough Gear as far as heat treat. I've had somebody ask me if I'd ball peen a hammer through a chain. No, I won't, because you're not going to do that in real life.
Yeah.
And what the hell does it matter? But I will bone and stuff like that. I'd put these Work Tough Gear through that in any situation. But it's the heat treat that makes it happen. Whether it's their K110, whether it's the SK85, and I don't know anybody that does SK85 better than they do.
Yeah, they do a good job.
They do, and fit, finish, all of that quality is spot on. And if you're going to go outside the States, going to Taiwan, going to an ally is who I would say go to. And Vic's a good man. Vic's a great dude, man. People have no idea how good a dude that guy is.
He has a passion for the craft, and he loves what he does. The only other knife maker that I've found where their heat treat, it is Tops. I've never had a Tops knife where I've had an issue with their heat treat, but they differentially heat treat and a lot of their stuff's done by one person, Benny over there. He does a hell of a good job. In every one that I've ever reviewed, I've never had a problem with the Tops knife. It's just,
I they're long, and you can speak to this more probably than I can, but what I'm seeing from Work Tough Gear is similar to Tops in that they give the designers freedom to design, and they make what the designer wants. And I think Tops does that too, if I'm not mistaken. Works with several different designers and doesn't really interfere to a certain degree.
To a certain degree,
do very well.
And one of the problems, believe it or not, you have in the States is the name of the knife, because a lot of the names are copywritten. So people think, oh, I'm just going to do a knife. I'm going to make it here, and I'm going to call it this, this, and this. If there's something else that's out there that's named the same as that, then all of a sudden you've got an issue, and a lot of folks just think that it's just super easy peasy just to bang something out really quick. We're going to name it this, and we're going to do it. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes on all this stuff
before you can basically make that final decision. Sure.
Yeah. And that's another cost too. To do a name check, to do all that stuff costs money that has to go back into the product somehow, because at the end of the day, if you're not making money, you're not in business.
Of course. Where did you get the name from, John?
Well, my YouTube channel started in a location here in San Diego called Mount Laguna. And I thought, out of respect, that it was only fitting to give homage to the place that basically kicked off my YouTube channel. And cool. It's a local mountainous area that's up around 5,000 and 6,000 feet elevation. We have these big ass Coulter pines. As you guys have probably seen the pine cones on my videos, they're like footballs. So when they give a high wind warning and I say I don't go to the mountains, it's because I don't want to get hit by, a terminal velocity pine cone the size of a small melon.
Yeah.
And they do. They fall out of the trees. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, we got a big windstorm coming here in New York, so I don't want to go outside and get hit by garbage pail covers.
Exactly.
Yeah, no joke.
Hey, someone asked John, is this the divot in the handle? That's for bow drill?
That is.
I'd ask that.
I put that in there because I wanted to make it to where if you fell out of a boat, if you're a hunter and you're lost and all your stuff got wet, and heaven forbid you lost your combustion device, at least maybe you still have a fighting chance. And with any skill, you know, I'm always an advocate, whether it's in your backyard, at a local park, whatever, practice those skills of a bow drill fire, of a hand drill, of even making feather sticks, or, you know, a tri stick. Nothing will tell you more about a knife and the characteristics of that knife than making a tri stick. That'll tell you, first off, it'll tell you about the handle on the blade, because you're doing a lot of different hand and wrist movements when you're making that tri stick. And if you got a hot spot, it's going to let you know real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been watching Morris Kachansky a good bit, and the tri stick, and he wasn't kidding when they call it a tri stick. It's challenging, to say the least. When I reviewed your knife, it did incredibly well, and I loved it. And again, and I'm giving this one away, or this one's getting raffled, and I'll pick up another one because I'm into that pocket. What the hell is it called? Pocket fixed blade. But I noticed on yours too, the thickness. Did you have input on the thickness?
Well, originally my idea was to have 3/16 of an inch. The reason that it's a little bit thicker than 3/16 is because with that type of steel, and because of the metric system and where they got it, that was the only size thickness that they could source and still be affordable. But the way that we did the high saber grind, because originally I had a Scandi grind on there, and when we did the prototypes, we were testing them out. Vic came back to me with like an emergency call and says, "Hey, we got to have a call." He goes, "Scandi grind's not going to work on this," and I'm like, "Okay," because we're worried about rolling and chipping the blade,
right?
Because we know that folks were going to use it hard, and I wanted folks to use the gear. It's not designed to be a safe queen. It's designed to go out and enjoy yourself in the outdoors. So I go, okay, based on the dimensions of the blade and the thickness, he's the professional. I go, what's your opinion on this? He goes, let's go with a high saber grind with a secondary bevel. And I said, okay, let's do it. And I think with that collab, I think the stars aligned, and we found the right geometry for the cutting edge on that blade.
Yeah. Well, I got it. A guy gave it to me, donated it to the channel. I thought I wanted to have a couple Work Tough gears in the raffle. When I did the review, I went hard on it, and I had DJ do the exact same thing, just bring the edge back. But then I didn't do that because it wasn't sharp. I did that because if we're going to raffle something off, it needs to have a fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was impressed all the way through the testing, and impressed with it now. And it's a beautiful grind, beautiful blade, and it fits to me. It really does fit, and I like the handle size. Very, very, very comfortable.
Vic, with all their models, I have, and I don't just say because my knife's produced over there. It's a lot of well thought out process that they do over there, and their grinds, let me tell you, are razor sharp. I can't tell you how many people I've given a knife to, and they've taken it out of the sheath and they've cut themselves with it. Right. And the first thing I tell somebody now is, be careful, because you're going to cut yourself with it first thing. And they usually cut their index finger or something when they're taking it out of the sheath, because it's so darn sharp.
Oh yeah.
The combination of,
they've all been
I
sharp.
said it on my video, the combination of having such a strong, durable knife, and also getting out of the box and having such a sharp, fine edge that you can slice paper with it, is, for me, that's the two best combinations you could have in a knife. And especially one that you're going to use, you're going to bushcraft with it, you're going to cut with, you're going to do stupid stuff and important stuff. And, you know, you want to have that reliability. And that's a great combination they have going on there that you don't find that often.
It really, really is.
I'm trying to find somebody, and I'm hoping I need to talk with the gentleman that made this sheath for the custom one to see if we can't work out a deal. If folks want to order like an old school custom leather sheath for it, because I think that there's a lot of folks that like carrying on the hip like that, and that would really make that more like a legacy type look to it, rather than just the Kydex. There's folks out there that do like leather, the old traditional style leather, and this one was done by a gentleman here in San Diego called Hollis Leatherworks, and I mean, he did a hell of a job on
That is pretty.
on this blade. Now this one's 3/16, but to be honest, it's not that much of a difference. But this one's a Scandi grind on this.
Okay.
Because that was the original
made.
The custom one that my friend Steve from 73 Forge made. And if you guys in the people watching, if you guys are on Instagram and YouTube, check out 73 Forge. I mean, he does some good stuff and some custom stuff, you know, and that's his side gig. He's not looking to become world famous. He just loves making knives. And then
I love leather. And John Kennedy, man, thank you for showing up. I met John over at Blackie's gathering. But leather I love. But John, you growing up where you grew up and being in Florida, and I love, here's what's crazy. I was 50 this past time, and I'm more and more like my buck 110. I'll carry in my old leather sheath, you know, like granddaddy did and all that. And I'm more and more into that. So when I say, you know, the pocket fixed blade, that is simply a matter of functionality and work for me. Like weekends or something like that, I'd love to have a leather sheath. Just something on the hip, because we kayak, we do all that. And I love leather a bunch. I'm a big fan of it.
David C. Anderson over at Knife Center, he's also a knife designer. And he made a really nice pocket fixed blade, and you got to look at your knife laws, because not everywhere you can carry a fixed blade in your pocket. We just need to disclose.
Not by me, that's for sure.
You know, so you know, there's certain cities, states that you can't do that, but where you can do it, I mean, there's a lot of great smaller blades like that I think have a lot of function. And
And you know what? I can tell everything you're talking about
honestly,
right now.
I don't think about it.
Yeah, you said. I'm sorry.
Say that again, Joe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Joe.
but I'm just saying, because I'm looking at the chat room right now. You got Matt Pearson. You got so many guys in the room that I know them, and I know they're agreeing with everything you're saying. You know, in terms of basically, you know, the size of the knife, the convenience of it, how to carry it, and all that. And I know that they're all agreeing upon that. I mean, it's a popular notion. You know.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, we all love our big knives.
I love a big knife. This is EJ Snyder's latest from Stroop Knife. Did a review on this.
That is wicked.
And EJ's known for big knives. I mean, I love big knives.
Can I see that spine? Can I see that spine?
See if I can get it in focus.
Type of rigid look. Yeah, it's nice.
It's like a hammer forged.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Now that was
Stroop Knives. So they're a veteran-owned company back east, veteran family-owned, and they're making these for EJ. So, I mean, I tested this out. I pounded it into a tree and stood on it just to test the heat treat. And don't tell my wife, because it scares the hell out of her every time.
Skip, the Kodiak from Ted, didn't he? Isn't that the company that makes the Kodiak from Ted's Knives? It is, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tactical Everyday Dad has come up. I think Joe and I both have a couple of his knives to review this week. And Stroop is the maker of one.
That is
so I'm glad to see that. And I watched your video on that. I was impressed with that knife. I like it a lot. I love big knives. Everybody knows that.
Their heat treat is just top notch. When I was doing stuff, and you going back to when you mentioned about the Home Depot wood
Fat wood,
that was hard as hell.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, a lot of people think that pine is soft, but that dry ass pine that we have up at 6,000 feet is like freaking rebar cutting through that stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of, unless you come out, unless you come out and live it, you have no idea how hard that stuff is. It's insane.
I had I had a big knife not too long ago. I had several knives, but when I got that Home Depot, I bought some firewood. It gets cold here once a year. And I bought that firewood thinking, well, it'll be pine, it'll split easy, I hit it and had reverb in my hand. I'm like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
It's just hard as a brick. And then their fat lighter is also hard. Of course, now I got a whole stump of fat lighter, and it'll do the same thing to you. Fat lighter is hard. It's tough. So if a blade will go through that, and Brandon Thrasher's in the room, and Brandon had a great point. And John, I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Being a knife reviewer, being a knife designer, I was mentioning I had I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter. I mentioned a chip in the blade. And Brandon had a great point, and he said one thing that we need to get back into more and talking about reviewers and stuff is knife maintenance, because we're going to chip blades. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would say this to anybody. If you watch one of my videos, and I try not to abuse a knife, but I swing hard. I'm 280 pounds, and I do some stuff just like you do. Give me some thoughts on blade maintenance and how important that is just overall.
I think blade maintenance is probably the most important thing. It's just like anything, right? If you're into firearms, if you're into fishing, if you're into archery, I mean, if you're not taking care of your gear is not going to take care of you. I mean, that's just plain and simple. But you can practice like knife maintenance at your house. You don't have to drive out in the woods. You don't have to go in the boonies. You can do it right in your living room, right? I sharpen more knives at my kitchen table, and the wife gets pissed because I get oil and stuff all over the tablecloth, and I go, "Oh, my bad," But you can do it in the backyard, and there's enough videos out there to teach people any sort of knife sharpening method you want to do, whether you want to do Japanese whetstones, whether you want to do a work sharp stone or the work sharp belt stuff, or there's so many different tutorials out there that you go to a swap meet, find a $5 old hickory, and just practice on that till you get good at it. Then you go to your really nice blades. If you just start, don't go with your
crappy kitchen knives or something like that, steak knives, whatever.
Yeah, you can order something off the internet, $5, $10, $15.
Yeah.
My challenge is order something with extremely hard freaking steel and try to sharpen it.
Right.
If you can do that, then you can do anything.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of these stainless steels are really tough.
What's the bevel angle on your knife, John?
I want to say we're at 20 degree.
20 degrees? Yeah, because I'm gonna hone it up, so I'll stay at 20.
Yeah. Hey, a quick shout out, because I like taking care of people, that small community. If you're into custom Kydex, I have a friend named Craig. He's got a little custom shop out in Palm Springs, and this is Alpha Tactical Custom Kydex. And he can do any colored Kydex that you want. And it's not only just for my make and model of blade. If you call him up and you tell him what you have, he may already have a form for it and be able to do something for you. So I have a video on my channel where I review this blade. I mean, the Kydex, with all the information to how to get a hold of Craig.
Yeah, but if they Google that, are they going to be able to find them? On
Alpha Tactical Custom Kydex.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, you can do anything. Like You know, he's got the Bic lighter on there. He's got the
That's
flashlight.
pretty badass.
You know, you
Very
could
cool.
add a ferro rod. We did a tech lock. I'm a big fan of tech locks because you can adjust at any angle to fit your needs. Or if you're running Molly or Pal's gear and you put it on a pack or a rig or whatever, you're good to go. But really good stand-up guy. The retention on this blade, I mean, just awesome.
That's mint.
And I like I'm a big fan of cross draw. My friend Jaime, who's no stranger to my channel, turned me on to that because, hey, he used to work in special operations. So if you're gun hand, you got to be able to access your secondary without taking your hand off your primary weapon. So having that cross draw, heaven forbid your arm gets broken or you can't reach around, you're not going to be able to grab your knife on your strong side with your weak arm. So that cross draw, you could sit in the car. It's not riding on the seat in the seat belt and such. It's right there in your lap. So, heaven forbid, nowadays you got to be careful. Somebody coming up to your window, you got access to your knife right there. So,
it looks
that's a good point. That's
unbelievable job on it. I mean, it looks really
nice.
Good too.
He's got,
so how does it work? You just tell him the knife that you have, and he just customizes the Kydex for that blade.
Yeah. Now he has a bunch of knives. So if you call him, he may have that blade.
Right.
What I did is I sent him one of my knives. So you don't have, all you tell him, hey, John said, hey, you got a Mount Laguna, you can make one. He can even do custom logos. So if you guys have custom logos, you want to make your own mojo on there, you're good to go.
Can he do a Kydex sheet for a very big knife, a big bullet?
Yeah, he can do whatever you want.
That's what. So I'm actually thinking that's not a bad idea.
You're only limited by your bank account.
I like that. That. Oh yeah, well that goes without saying. Yeah, but I may think about that, like for maybe one of the big knives.
Yeah,
just as a kick. I mean, just to have it as a Kydex sheet. I think that'll be cool.
Well, I'm a big advocate for adding your own mojo to something and making it your own. A lot of people go, man, you're going to buy something, then you're going to customize it. Well, yeah, why the hell not? I mean, why you want to dare to be different and stand out. So why not?
Can you make it? Can you make a Kydex sheet for a katana?
No, I'm sure you can. I'm sure. Hey, you give him a call. I'm sure you can tool up and do it.
Laugh. I'm thinking about like customize. Like I want
get you a tactical katana sheath.
Tactical katana, my own style, like a Pink Floyd theme or some shit. Something cool, like something that's me. So
you need a katana with a cross two saw back on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The hot thing right now.
Yeah. I'm looking for the two hammers.
There you go.
That way you can get stabbed to death when you're trying to draw them and somebody's coming at you.
Yeah,
it would be. Listen, having that Kydex option is awesome because there's some great knife makers out there that don't give a shit about a sheath. All right, let's just be real. We've talked about a couple of them. The knives love the knife, and then they come out with some kind of nylon thing, and you're just like, really, dude?
Well, you got to
pay for certain things. It's just like,
and I'll put my hat on as a gear reviewer. If I'm going to invest the money, I want the money to go into the production of the blade, and I don't care about the sheath because I'm probably going to do custom mojo anyway.
$400.
Correct.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, if it's in that price range, then
but normally for $100, if you can get, and I'm not a big sheath guy. You can tell in my reviews, I've had a couple people ask to see them, so I've tried to do a little more with them, but I don't care. I mean, I don't.
But I've
got a little Kydex thing that I do. If I want something, I'll make a Kydex sheath.
I appreciate this Kydex sheet though, the way they shape it and they angle it to the blade. And even this, I love this design of the belt loop where you can basically attach it to your belt without having to undo your belt to take it in and out. So if you feel like you want to put it on your belt, you kind of put it on, Velcro is there, holds it in place, lock it in place, and you're good to go. You want to take it off, you don't have to undo your belt. You unsnap it, you take it off. I really love the design of this Kydex sheet. And you know what? It fits, it clicks, it is no problems. We're going in and out, in and out. You never have to worry about it. It's almost like not even an afterthought. You find the blade, you put it in, and you work and you move on. So I do like the job they did on this.
Well, you know, we had to go back and redo the handle on the sheath because when they first came out, they had a version of a tech lock.
Right.
But with the pandemic, all that stuff shut down. There wasn't access to that item to add to the sheath. And once it did, the cost was so high that it didn't make sense. So we had to go back to the drawing board and think about, hey, how are we going to do this? And we came up with that. Mostly Vic, 99% said, hey, what do you think about this? We do this. And then he showed me a photo of it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And for, all the ones that I've received, they look really good and they're functional. But you can get you a tech lock on Amazon and then you can do whatever you want, with it.
I think the one I got of yours came with a tech lock, a smaller tech lock.
Yeah, the original one came with a aftermarket. I can't officially say the tech lock brand,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was an aftermarket tech lock style. Like you can't say Velcro, right? It was hook and loop,
right?
Yeah, the same thing. But the way with the pandemic, there wasn't access to those anymore for about a good year and a half.
I got you. Well, that's and the nylon thing. I've got a buddy of mine, Kurt, who absolutely loves that nylon strap. Loves them. They're hard to find unless you go, through the manufacturer or something like that. But I'm a fan of it too. I like the tech lock. I like the nylon strap. But I tell you the truth, like with yours, like something like that, I don't have anything. I just put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I like that for a lot of reasons. Now, again, that's strictly with work. If I'm out and about, I still do it. But I would like to have a leather option on it.
I'm looking around because they did for a little while come with a different style of clip. It was one that I think if you guys have ever seen the Calachipi and Zeke's smaller knife, it's got that metal clip that it's got like a little latch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Mine came with that for a while because we were trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to do? Until we finalized it, some of them shipped, and a majority. I got to give a shout out to all my Japanese brothers and sisters out there. They have made the Mount Laguna like in their top 10 of knives. I mean, 98% of the knives that are made go to Japan to people that are just into overlanding. They love overlanding over there. And they have their little Suzuki Samurais and their little pop-up tents. And they go out there and they bushcraft on the beach or wherever they go.
That's awesome.
But
that's cool.
We sell a ton of those knives over in Asia, in Australia, in Japan. It's just amazing. And that's what's so cool about what we do and about the time that we live in, that we have access to the entire globe right now, where back in the day when we were kids, all we had was responding to a magazine ad. There's a magazine ad for a knife in Field and Stream, and then you'd send a check or a money order for whatever amount, $19.98 plus shipping and handling, and then you'd wait 8 weeks.
Yeah.
You go to the postman. The postman, not here today, son. Your package isn't here today. Yeah.
Well, I mean, YouTube did that to every market. I mean, completely different market than ours. But I remember being a gamer as a kid, and I remember electronic gaming monthly on Nintendo Power, and I used to wait for these freaking magazines to come in to see what the latest games are. Now, I mean, kids today, you have full games being played right in front of your eyes. I mean, there's no better advertising or knowing what you're seeing better than that. And same thing that goes, you know, with knives for the most part too.
You know, when I first started out on YouTube and I would go to trade shows, or I would talk with companies, and you got to remember, you know, 2006, there was still magazine print ad was still their number one like form of advertising, right? Because they thought YouTube was just a gimmick, was a child's game sort of thing.
Right.
And I would talk with companies and I'd go, look, I go, you're taking an ad out and say Field and Stream for this. I go, how many people buy Field and Stream monthly? And their account executive would go, well, you know, we got 21,000 magazines sold monthly. I go, really? I have an airgun video that did 150,000 views on that one video. And I go, people buy the magazine not because your ad is in the magazine. They're buying the magazine because they like the brand of that magazine and what they're conveying.
Right.
I go, but how many people sit and look at an ad in a magazine and go, man, I look forward to seeing that new fill in the blank ad in whatever magazine? Nobody ever said that. So I go, think about that. And some of these old timers, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. But you know what? There was companies that believed in me. Tops Knives, day one, said, you know what? We're gonna give this guy a chance. This was back, I mean, old school. YouTube was the wild, wild west. Nothing fancy was out there, you know. The late Boy Scout, Hickok 45. You know, we're talking, you know, just the old guard. And companies like, you know, Tops Knives, VanQuest, you know, just a ton. At the time, Taylor Brands that owned, at that time, Schrade Knives, took a big gamble on us. And, you know, for Taylor Brands, it paid off huge for them because they had a huge resurgence in sales. And, I mean, the viewers had a direct connection with the company. Let me tell you what, we're at SHOT Show and I show up at the Taylor Brands booth and I had done a handful of reviews for them. So I tell one of their account executives, I asked if the president was around. Oh, they go, yeah, he's in a meeting right now. I said, well, here's my business card. If you could just let him know that I was here. And he walked back to give it. The president of the company stopped the meeting and came out and talked to me.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm not saying it to be braggadocious, but I'm saying is that these are people on the vanguard that realized how much of an influence video and video reviews and video marketing had on their product. And there was times that I did videos for Taylor Brands, and I'm the type of guy that if something really sucks, I'm not going to do a video on it because my time is so precious. So there's a couple times I'll give you guys a quick example. They came out with a contraption where they had a knife and a slingshot combo, and I did testing on it, and the slingshot came apart and snapped me right by the eye, hurt like hell. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's me, you know. But I had done a lot of slingshot stuff because I had done some stuff for Chief AJ, and I was shooting sling bows with arrows through the slingshot and such. So I call him up, I let him know. And then my buddy Mike Travis, who's got a channel, another old school YouTuber, had the same thing happen. You know what? They stopped the production line. They recalled the product. I told him, I go, you guys need to fix it or else you're going to wind up with liability lawsuits. I go, these knives are made probably for 12 and 13, 14-year-old boys. And what's going to happen? A kid's out there grab-assing around. All of a sudden, he's going to get snapped in the eye. It's going to be an ER visit. And all of a sudden, you guys are going to get hit with lawsuits all day long.
Sure.
And you know what? They listen. They stop. They improve the brand. But now, I don't even know who owns them now. A company called BMI or something like that. What they do? Did away with all the influencers. So you saw what happened to the brand. Boom, 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 boom. Now nobody even talks about a Schrade knife. We used to get excited.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. anymore. Now it's the big, YouTube's it's the way to go. And there's so many choices too. You got you guys that's been on for a while. So you've got that trusted voice there, with your reviews, who's done it and done it and done it. How many videos do you say you have?
Close to 800. But I mean, I do everything from first aid kits to air guns.
How many years you been on YouTube?
15.
15? That's a long period of time.
Here's a.
I don't know where I'm going to be about 10 years from now.
I'm watching. I'll see in the comment section because I've been going back and forth looking at that. YouTube. Here's a little insider info. YouTube started out as a online dating service back in the day.
Yeah.
Not that
I remember that.
To hook up because I've been happily married 36 years. I came up, but what happened was eHarmony and all those other apps crushed it, and they had to go, holy crap, we got to reinvent ourselves. So they said, you know what? We'll make it to where anybody can upload videos. So I was big into mountain bike racing. So I started uploading stuff like that. And then I was involved with the Boy Scouts here in San Diego. And I was giving talks about gear to buy because there was families. I'm sorry, we live in an age where a lot of dads haven't done outdoor stuff. So the kids are in scouts and they don't know what knife to buy, what sleeping bag to get, what backpack to do, because they've never been exposed to that. So I was giving these talks and the topic came up about YouTube and somebody goes, hey, why don't you make a video where the people in the troop can see that if they don't have time to go to the meeting, and then it's a resource that we could go to. So I was like, yeah. So I did a Kelty. It's still on there. If you guys look, and these old videos suck ass bad. Because I didn't know anything about anything back then. So please forgive me if you watch the old stuff. Comedy factor off the charts. Drink a beer when you do it. Don't take them serious. But
I should bring one of those on screen.
Oh man, it's just crazy. But I mean, that was it was the Wild West, and we had fun. Yeah. And then I started getting into doing reviews, and things snowballed, and that's where we're at today. One thing that I didn't like ever doing, and every once in a while I do it, is I do not like to do tabletop reviews. I like to get out in front of the camera. I think the best way to communicate is people seeing you directly and talking directly to the individual.
Right.
And, there's a lot of people that do the talking hands. They do it well. But for me, it's always been best to get out. I like getting out in the woods. That's why it took me like 2 months to do this video, because on my day job, I manage a grocery store. So it's weekends and holidays. Every freaking weekday I had off, snowed, 70-mile-an-hour winds, fill in the blank. They closed the roads down. The place that I normally go film was just shut down for like 4 weeks. I called EJ. I go, hey, I'm not dissing you, bro, but I don't want to do this in my backyard. Some things, I need to get out there and in the wild and do stuff. And he was like, hey, don't worry about it.
You have to. I think there's certain amounts you have to.
I
think you have to get out.
If I had that big ass chopping block that you have, Scab, I'd be doing every video in my backyard, because that freaking chopping block. You know what that reminds me of? My good friend who passed away, God bless him, Rob Ricks, the angry jackalope.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Rob was a good dude, man.
Yeah. I mean, Rob and I were good friends, and he was a larger than life. I met him a couple times. We met at SHOT. He come to San Diego. The guy was just freaking larger than life, and he was off the hook crazy on the knife reviews, putting pigs' heads out there and
I loved his videos, man. I loved his videos. He was a good dude. Really good dude.
But see, that type of dedication, listen, when you put that type of dedication into your videos, I mean, people do appreciate it. They see it. They see it and they appreciate it.
And everybody starts off. Now, here's some food for thought, and this has more to do with my manic side. June 23rd will be 2 years on YouTube.
Okay.
I have 930 videos. and my early ones are. But I started off, John. I would get in the car and just drive and review the knife when I, and it started off. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to do something with blades, right? But you're trying to find your style, and I figured out real quick. Me trying to just tell you about it. That's what led kind of to the demonstrations, because I'm like, you know what? I've played with a knife my whole life, but I got to get my base knowledge up. But if I can show you, you know what I'm saying? I think it lends more for me, not anybody else, but for me, with me, like the tri-stick. I just started on that, watching Morris Kaczynski and Blackie and I want to take everybody kind of on that journey. And that's kind of what the chopping block is, a red oak stump from West Virginia. And man, it makes a difference, because I used to do them on my tailgate. I can't tell you how many times I poked straight through that tailgate.
I remember those first early tailgate videos. You used to just pull over and put the datch down and just start chopping up shit in the back.
That's where
you chop up your preacher on the cinder block.
I drive a 4Runner. The wife drives the GMC Sierra. If I put a knife hole, a gunshot wound, or a freaking arrow through her truck, she's going to be hotter than a $2 pistol in Dodge City on a Saturday night.
I went to stab and gone straight through the bed of the truck.
Oh, it's Murphy's Law. See, it's like we talked about at the beginning. Murphy always comes along for the ride. Doesn't matter when, where, or how. It was that way in the military too, and I worked with explosives in the military. So if Murphy came along for the ride, guess what? Somebody lost a finger or an arm, or even worse. But
give us a little bit of your military background. I wanted to ask you about that.
Sure.
Give us just a quick synopsis, if you would.
Okay. 1984, I'm working in a lumber mill, Pinkham Lumber. Was the largest lumber mill on the East Coast, on the east of the Mississippi at that time. And I'm working the night shift. I'm working in the planer mill. It's 20 below zero. And I'm out in the dry kilns. And a lot of people think the dry kilns are dry, but they're heated by steam. So I'm out there in the dry kilns, 20 below zero, with steam blowing on me. So you can only imagine, right? You're just like a human icicle. So I get off work. I go home. The old man's sitting at the coffee table having his coffee in the morning. And I said, man, Dad, it was cold last night, 20 below zero. I go, there's got to be a better way to make a living. Now, he's an old Air Force guy, right? He has his coffee cup. He sets it down. He goes, boy, that was my name. I didn't know my name was John or Jonathan until I joined the military. It was just boy. He goes, boy, you got two choices to make. He goes, you either go to college or you go in the military. He goes, but I don't want to hear you cry about it. And I said, yes, sir. So I took a sick day and I went down. I saw a Navy recruiter. And 4 months later, July 10th, 1984, I was headed to Chicago in the Navy to Great Lakes. And then I wound up, I was an aviation ordnanceman in the Navy, which fancy name, we work with all the weapon systems on an aircraft, whether it's bombs, guns, missiles, chaff, flare, you fill in the blank. And I originally went to school in Millington, Tennessee in 84. Awesome place, just near Memphis. Was awesome time. You're 18. Remember, I came from a town of 500 people. Now all of a sudden I'm in Chicago. Culture shock, right? I go to Memphis. I'd never been out of the county since I was like 5 years old when growing up in Connecticut, right? So it was like the brave new world for me. I was discovering things and all that. So after A school, in A school, they tell you to fill out a dream sheet, right? Fill out your dream sheet, your dream billet where you'd like to be stationed. I put down Brunswick Naval Air Station, which was in Maine, and Rota, Spain, right? Because I figured, Spain, I want to go to Europe, check it out. So the chief's looking at it and he goes, Heffron. I go, yeah. He goes, Brunswick Naval Air Station in Rota, Spain. He goes, aren't you from Maine? I go, yes, Chief. He goes, son, if you wanted to get close to home, you should have joined the Army. He goes, you're going to the fleet, son. So
Yeah. Wow.
I got stationed here in NAS Miramar. You guys have seen it all in the movie Top Gun. And I was in an F-14 squadron there, VF-21. And I'll tell you a funny Tom Cruise story. So I'm just a non-rate. Anybody who's an E4 and below, they call a non-rate until you get your classification of the job that you're doing. And so I was assigned to ground support equipment. And they go, and that's a fancy name for hauling planes to the fuel farms and going to start planes up and stuff like that. So I get a call, hey, Heffron, go over to VF-124, start up a plane. Okay. So I'm jetting across the flight line, and I'm looking at the hangar where I'm supposed to go, and I see a plane. And normally there's only like 4 people standing around the plane. This plane's got like 50 people. I'm like, what the heck? I roll up. It's the movie set for Top Gun. And wow. Tom Cruise is sitting in the cool. He wasn't sitting in the pilot seat. He's sitting in the number 2 seat. So I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. The only thing is at Miramar in SoCal, it's a clear day on a flight line, you know, and you're going to deal with it in Florida with that hot sun beating down on you on a beach, right? How hot it gets. And there's no shade, right?
No.
So every 10, 15 minutes, Cruise is going, I'm sweating. Can we get makeup? Somebody calls Tom Cruise a little bitch. And all hell broke loose. The director loses it, goes crazy. And then Cruise loses it going, F it, we can do this, F it. He kept dropping the F-bombs left and right. F it, we can do it, we can do it. He's going, all for like a 15-second shot on film, which I didn't even see in the film. And then they take off and they give him a ride in a jet. And I'm like, oh, just crazy.
That's cool. That's a cool story.
But yeah, I spent 3 years with VF-21. Got to travel the world a little bit. Did 2 North Packs. 2 West Packs and 1 North Pack. And let me tell you what, when you're trying to do flight ops in the Bering Sea up around the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, oh my God, 20-foot seas, 30-foot seas. I mean, it's insane trying to launch and recover airplanes like that. But you're 18, 19, you grow up really quick because the flight deck, it was one of the most dangerous jobs in aviation that's out there. And you think the average age of somebody on a flight deck is like 21 or 22 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing. Yeah. We're just kids, but, thinking as a 56-year-old now, we're just kids out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the responsibility that we had, and we delivered day in and day out was just remarkable.
Well, John, in unison, there's so many people that are commenting just like this, that they're, thank you for your service and, for all the trials and tribulations you've been through. And,
hey, I tell everybody, because I work with veterans groups here in San Diego, don't thank me. Thank everyone that never came home. All the ones that didn't make it home. We made it home. I hit the lottery being able to come home. There's a lot of my friends that didn't come home, and a lot of my friends that are messed up from the traumas of war that came home that still aren't home yet.
Right.
And I work off and on with a 501c3 out here in San Diego called Triple B Adventures, where we take veterans out on outdoor excursions and we do what's called campfire therapy. And, veterans have a different language. When you're sitting around a campfire, you can tell off jokes and nobody gets offended by it. And we wanted to make a safe space where folks could be able to come, decompress, be themselves, because a lot of the vets can't be themselves in the civilian world.
Right.
They can't tell you that the trials and tribulations of warfare, because the normal person can't handle that.
Right.
Or they think, oh my God, But when you're talking to a fellow vet, a fellow brother and sister, it goes a long ways. Better than the medication that they give down at Balboa Naval Hospital. And, it's doing a lot of good. It's doing a lot of good.
Good. Next year,
what's that?
Next year when we do our raffle, why don't you be involved with it?
Let's do it.
I would love to support something like that. We have about 30 minutes south of me. Now, I never served. My son served, and I hope he's not watching because he actually went and signed up for the National Guard today. So he served, and now he's going back in. But about 30 minutes south of us, there's a place called Soldiers Freedom Outdoors, and that's one of the places that folks can donate to. What we do, John, no money comes to us. We have people donate directly to the charity. We're not affiliated. That way there's no impropriety. But they do some of the same stuff. They have the equine therapy. If you have PTSD or severe head trauma, you can go down there. And I had really the joy of being down there about a month ago. And it's a phenomenal place, man. They got like 3,000 acres, hunting, fishing, the equine therapy. It sounds a lot like the same place where they bond, and can talk. And anything like that, I want to support.
Yeah, there's still a need. Just because the war's over, it doesn't mean that the war's over for a lot of those vets. They can't shut it off.
Right.
Right.
And there's times, I was never in combat. I don't ever, no stolen valor, none of that crap. I've been on a flight deck of a carrier, but there's certain sounds, certain smells that take you right back to those moments. And I can only imagine when you're hopping and popping in the mix, of what's going to trigger something, and a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, you have to learn to live with it a little bit, and deal with it. But the ones that don't, that's where we're losing the 22 a day.
Right.
That's right.
And it's sad. We've all lost friends. And here's the thing, and this is for folks in the chat too. If you're on social media at all, and it doesn't matter, you can have 1 subscriber, a million subscribers. I want everybody to know that you make a difference in somebody's life. Everybody does. You get to be a mentor. I'm going to tell you 2 stories. I had one kid contact me because you always think, is anybody ever watching my videos? Am I even making a difference in what's going on, right? This kid reached out to me a couple of years ago, and he says, I lost my dad when I was 7 years old. And I've been watching your videos for over 10 years. And I grew up and I'm learning how to do man stuff by watching your videos. Let me tell you what, I think somebody in the room was cutting onions because my eyes watered up really bad. And so I reached out to the kid. I go, hey, let's do a Skype call. He goes, we can't afford internet at the ranch. Single mom, she's trying to run the ranch, and all that. And we figured out a way. She had a Chevy truck that had 4G. So he went out to the truck, linked up from there on the ranch. We talked. I got his name, got his address. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you a kit with a bunch of stuff that I've tested out. We're going to get you kitted out with a bunch of stuff. So,
very cool.
We did that. And then through social media as well, I started talking to a veteran, and about a year later, he says, you know what? He goes, you saved my life. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, one night I posted something on social media and nobody responded except you. He goes, I was going to kill myself that night.
Wow.
He goes, but you responded, and from what you said, he goes, it made a difference. It made a difference. And that doesn't mean, because John has a YouTube channel in this. It's just being an average person, doing the right thing, caring about a brother or a sister out there, and that costs nothing. It costs nothing to do a buddy check on somebody.
Right.
Hey, how you doing today? How's everything going? All right. I want you to know that I love you, man, that I'm thinking about you, that sort of thing. And
absolutely,
that's what this community and the community that I'm in, this outdoor community, is all about. Yeah, we got some prima donnas, and there's going to be that in everything that we do. But for the most part, there's salt of the earth people out there, you know, like you were talking about going to Blackie's event. I mean, I've been following Blackie forever on YouTube, forever. And, you know,
That dude is
we went
awesome, man.
through his heart attack and his bypass surgeries. And, you know, I've never met him personally, but let me tell you something. I have a connection with Black. I know him now because of he's so loving and giving on video,
Right.
you know, and that's what's so
He's
good.
that way in person, man. That dude's that way. Seriously, John, when I showed up, I got about halfway there and thought, what the hell are you doing? Because I'm going in a gold Crown Vic police interceptor model with a tarp, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I really, because other than an email or two of Blackie, and like you said, watching him, and I watch guys and I comment, and I don't comment. I just like comment. I'm not trying to get anything, but man, he come up, he shook my hand. He said, hey, we're running to town. When I get back, we'll sit and chat. And so I set my camp up, which was an experience in and of itself. But man, he got back, and I met, like I said, John Kennedy, who I was in the chat. I met those guys, and I walked over and sat down, John, at about 2:30 with Blackie. And we sat there till 12:30 that night. Now, there were several people, but he was giving of his time. He told stories. He walked us through. The guy's just awesome. And it matters.
Oh,
It matters.
big time. Big time.
That's why I try to keep as much positivity as I can, you know, because it matters.
You got to, you know, people talk about, you know, changing the world. How can we change the world? And I tell folks, you have to change in your sphere of influence. That's how you change the world. In the concentric circles. You know, if you're a dad or if you're a boyfriend or you're an uncle, you have that sphere of influence of family members around you. So you're changing the world in that micro environment.
Right.
And then the concentric circles, you know, whether somebody's, and trust me, I get views on the videos, 300 or 400 views, or sometimes there's a couple thousand views. But I tell you what, there might be that one person that needs to hear what you're having to say. And that's why I do that video. I don't do it to try to get 1 million views, to capture that lightning in a bottle. I do it to try to make a difference with that one person that's trying to make a decision. If I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on a $300 knife, do I pull the trigger? Do I pull the trigger on a $500, $600 air gun or a $700 bow? Because whether we want to believe it or not, you're trading your life for that item. Whether
Right.
you're working and it's costing money per hour, you're giving up your life energy for that item. I respect that, and I want to get the biggest bang for the buck, so you're not wasting your time. I've always approached it like that. And if I ever do it a disservice, I hope somebody lets me know so we can fix it. But I always try to think outside the box on that all the time.
Well,
you know,
let me ask you this, and then we'll start kind of doing our giveaways and wrap it
Sure.
up. But I did want to get your take on this because people do different stuff. The psychology of your video.
Okay.
Yeah, I send you a knife. If I send you a knife to review, and I say, John, I want you to review this knife.
Okay.
Do you get all the information you can, or do you just attack the knife and try to figure out what the designer was thinking?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's a good question, because that's something that you wrestle with, you know, as a reviewer. Me personally, I'm an information geek. I try to get as much information as I can. But what I try to do is I try to call the individual. If I can't call them, then I try to either email or text and ask them if they can give me a little bit of information, a little bit of the backstory that went into something, so I can add that to the video to add that personal touch. I want to add a personal touch to make a personal connection
Right.
with folks on an item. With that, like with the Mountain Predator, you know, I talked about EJ. I talked about him being on Dual Survival and Naked and Afraid. I talked him being a larger than life individual, you know, and the thought process that went into that. I also take copious show notes. These are videos that are in the works that I do hours of research. I sleep about 4 hours a day, and I'm usually up 11, 12 o'clock at night. I get up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm writing notes. That way I go out to the field. I can look at the notes, one, so I don't misspeak or misrepresent the item. Nothing worse than that. You go out there and say something 1095 when it's really SK85, or you get the dimensions wrong. Then you look, pardon my French, you look like a dumbass out there, like you don't know what you're doing. So I try to have my show notes. I'll tell folks, hey, I'm referring to my show notes, which is okay. Hey, everybody's going to do it. You know, we're not some high Hollywood production thing where I got teleprompters, and we're a 1, maybe 2-person guerrilla operation here. And we're trying to do the best we can, you know, with our video production, video quality. Story, I think story is the key. Everything
is the key.
has to have a story to it.
It's
right?
funny because you're taking, that's a page out of my book. I mean, this is all the notes I had when I reviewed your knife.
Yeah.
That was right next to me. I studied them, and this is how I'm going to go by it. It's like, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's how I do it. Scab knows me.
Joe actually does have Hollywood production, by the way. He really does. I asked that because I don't, and here's why I don't. And I think it comes down to the person. Now, I make sure I have the specifications, the steel, and this is more with me. But I ask you that for a specific reason, because I did this one time and I swore I'd never do it again, because I did a review of a knife, and I'm not going to mention the brand, but I had somebody, I did research on it, and I probably asked the wrong person. It affected the way I reviewed the knife, and I hated the review, and I took the knife. So what I do is this. I do get I try to get the things right that need to be right, because you're right. But what I like to do is when the knife comes in, review the knife, and then get the information. That way I want to see it, like with yours. I want to see what you're thinking. Does that make sense?
It
does.
I
want to be correct in what I do.
And that's where everybody
I'll develop.
Everybody has a unique style that works for them, and that works really good for you. The way my mind goes, I'm thinking 100 miles an hour on this stuff. And like I said earlier, I'm such an information geek, right? But because of all the years of doing this and reading, I read every comment, good, bad, and indifferent. But I mean, you learn so much. You don't learn from the positive comments, you learn from the negative comments. So it's good to read all the comments and don't take them personal. Take it as a way to improve the brand. And folks would tell me, hey, if you're doing a video, I'd like to see this. If you're doing this, I'd like to see. Right. So I try to figure out, okay, how can I do this and make it my own? Because there's 50,000 other gear reviewers out there. How can how can I be John Heffron out there? You know?
Yeah. No, and you do it very well.
And that's what
polished, and I enjoy your reviews.
And that's where yours are unique as well. I can't do a review like you do it. If I do voiceover stuff, I sound terrible doing I sound like I'm trying to sell you bad insurance behind a 7-Eleven dumpster if I do voiceover work. It doesn't, I mean, nothing will put you to sleep faster than me doing voiceover work. But
here's the thing with the scripted. See, I'm that way with the scripted, like where you and Joe do really well with it, and y'all do. I'm not just saying that, y'all do very well with what you do.
These are just notes. It's not a script. I freestyle every video. I read everything before I go live, and then we're like, okay.
Yeah, you have it's an outline. It's an outline. You make yourself up an outline.
Psychology was more what I was, because I've talked to some reviewers and they're like you guys, man, I want to know every single thing. And then there's a
Thanks,
couple
Gene.
like me, and to me, we all learn from each other.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll never sit here and go, well, you need to do it my way. My dad's a preacher. My mother has been a teacher and adult literacy type their whole lives. So speaking for me, I've grown up around it.
Yeah.
But it's easier for me to kind of come off the cuff. And dude, if I tried one video that was scripted, I deleted it, threw the away, and I'm just like, and I know what you're saying about notes, and that's wise. And I've started keeping a little notebook too of failures.
Well, I have to do it. I have to do it because the area where I go is a good hour, 20-minute drive for me. Mm-hmm. So when I get in the car, I got to have a purpose and I got to make it happen. So there's times when I didn't do that, and then I get home and I go to edit and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that. Or there's even like shots. I'll make a shot list of camera angles, how I want, or drone shots, or this or that. But that's a whole different level because I got other friends that are pushing me for more cinematic style stuff. Back in the day, I mean, I could get away shooting 360p, with
360. Oh man,
right?
Look at that now, and it's like,
But now with my channel and where I've gone, I can't get away with anything less than 1080 or 4K.
Yeah,
because my style of storytelling, that's what my viewers now are demanding to see.
Right.
So
and now you just have to
be a different style, but that's what works for you guys, and that's what works great. And you know what? That's what's so cool about the community, because if we all did stuff the way that I do or you do, it'd be boring as hell.
Yeah.
That
was kind of my point too.
Now
that I just like picking people's brain. I like to see.
Now, one thing I tell folks that send me stuff is that they're not going to influence my video. And there's been times that I've had manufacturers, not individuals directly, like small business ones are the coolest ones to work with. But I'm talking huge corporations that are going, no, you need to do this and you need to do this. And I go, you know what? No, I don't. No, I'll send you back the item. I'm not going to do that. Nobody's going to tell me how to do stuff on my own channel.
I respect you for that.
It's just not, and I've refused to do videos, but I don't go and air it out in the public forum. There's certain things that it's just nobody's business other than me and the person I'm dealing with.
Of course.
But there's been, over the course of 15 years, probably 30 companies I've told to go pound sand because I'm not going to be their little shill for them. We're not going to do that. Now, I always hit, like you talked about earlier, Scab, that positive energy. I'm going to come in with, and I'm going to try to talk in the most positive way I can, because you can get negative on TV. Watch CNN, MSNBC, whatever you want to do. You'll get enough of that. You come to my channel, I want you to leave inspired. I want you to leave happy. I want you to be able to sit down with your kids, your family at home, watch a video, and maybe learn something from it, maybe laugh a little bit. Some of our hunting trips, our camping trips, we get campy and crazy. We're only human like everybody else. Man, we just try to have fun, but we try to make it engaging on the channel. And that's why I bring on other people too. My friend Jaime, my nephew. I got my other relative who's my air gun guru. I try to bring people also that bring value, that are knowledgeable. I don't want to ever come off of like, I'm the all-seeing eye of everything.
Yeah.
That is, I am a student learning like everybody else.
That's awesome. Listen, we have to, we're coming up on an hour and a half. We have to get some knives because we don't want anybody to leave the room and lose the opportunity.
Hey, tell them about this one too.
Yeah, we're focused.
Guys, we're giving away, in that box is this knife right over here, man. So whoever's still in the room, which I'm happy it's a nice packed room, we're going to be giving away a Mount Laguna, and I am so stoked about it and you should be, because the knife is fantastic. So very, very excited about that. And thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, John.
That's
I
awesome,
appreciate
man.
that, man.
You know what? I've always believed in giving back to the community. You know, the blessings. It's the karma wheel. You know, if you want blessings, you got to be able to give out blessings too. You know, you gotta take care of the people because we're all in this together.
All right. So who are my
Because it's
moderators in the
small
room? So
people like
Gerbs,
y'all.
we got
What is
Gerbs
it?
and Grugs. I think you guys are both moderators. You guys are going to help me out with this number picking thing like Tina does. I don't think Tina's in the room, right, Scab? I didn't see Tina.
I'm not. I don't think she is.
Yeah, I don't think she's in. All right.
She
So
wouldn't.
either Grugs or Gerbs will do the drawing thing, and then you guys help me pick the number and stuff. But John, do you see the private chat on the side underneath
Yeah.
the comments?
Already sent you a message, my
Yeah.
friend.
Oh, you did? All right, let me check that out.
Yeah,
Okay,
John's
but
already ahead.
I'm going to give you the numbers to pick. So we're going to pick a number, any number. What you're going to pick the number. You're going to pick any number between 200 and 500. Any number between 200 and 500.
Okay.
What?
Screwed him up.
Yeah, that's all right.
That just everybody knows. Everybody knows how we do it, so we'll keep it that way.
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy right now.
All right, so who's gonna press the start button, Gerbs or Grugs? Somebody press the put in start, and then after you see start in the chat menu, the chat room, whatever, that's when you start picking a number, any number between 200 and 500. Whoever gets the number on the nose gets the Mount Laguna. Whoever comes closest to the number that John chose gets the Mount Laguna. So,
hey, I want to thank everybody in the chat. I was surprised. There was a lot of people from Maine in that chat tonight.
Nice.
So all you Mainers out there, rock on, baby. Rock on.
So we'll keep this going for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, John, have you ever talked to Bill Harsey?
No, sir.
Okay, I have. Just letting you know that. Dude, listen. I think I did maybe his Defensa for Spartan. And I get a message, and I had to double check. But it was from Mr. Bill. He said, "Hey, you got a number?" And so I'm looking, I'm going, I hope this isn't one of these Pakistani guys setting me up. But it was. So I sent him the number, and he actually called me. I've talked to him 3 or 4 times. That's one of the coolest guys, one of the most humble guys. If you ever get a chance, I think he's a state or two above you. But dude, if you ever run into him at one of those shows, he's one of the most. He
might beat me up because I did a Spartan blade review, and the edge, the one they sent me, couldn't cut butter.
Oh no!
And I mentioned it in the video. So,
man,
he'd probably whoop my ass if he saw.
Hey, listen, you can only review the knife you have in your hand.
I'd give him a hug. I would definitely get, and that's. So many people beat me up in the comments. Well, you should sharpen the blade. Blah, blah, blah. I'm a knife reviewer. I'm using it right out of the box, like anybody would do.
Right.
It was either the first one made on a Monday morning or the last one on a Friday afternoon. And I understand that's I might have mentioned something like that, but I wasn't very happy on that. And
it's disappointing too.
I'm sure they know me over there. They don't want to talk to me.
Well, but it's a little.
Guys, finish up your numbers. We're going to press the stop button pretty soon. About one more minute. Everybody pick it up. Sorry, Skip. Go ahead.
I actually talked to him, John, about some of the different things that they went through in the early stages, and with competitors. And I've got. Well, it's in the other room. One of my favorite knives is a collaboration with him and Robert Young Pelton and Billy Waugh. That's what it was. I did that review. That's what it was. Not a Spartan. But it was cool to talk to him about Spartan, the way they do things, and about all the guys, Rex Applegate, and all those guys he's worked with. If you ever get a chance, seriously, man. and you might, because he's over that way.
I need
I
to get
really
the
was hoping he
blade
was coming to Blade Show.
because of my job. It always seems to be a conflict with Blade.
Yeah.
You know, and I really need to get to Blade. There's so many cool people, friends in the community, you know, that are just salt of the earth people that I would, it's almost like a family reunion going to some of these places.
Yeah. I mean, they're just some great, I've had, this has been one of the most supportive communities. Because like I said, June will only be 2 years for me, but people welcome you in.
Oh, yeah.
There's an asshole in the group, but I mean, but people have welcomed me in. They've been patient. They've been kind. They support us. They support Joe. They've just bought in. And I love that, man.
Yeah.
Love that.
There's always one special subscriber that watches every video.
Yeah.
Oh,
God bless him. God bless him.
Yeah.
oh,
And you know, you got to respect the guys also that are on the other side of the world, like Pete from Australia. It just,
yeah.
they just, you know, as soon as their time zone comes in and your video's on, they'll watch it. They'll
But see,
comment.
you know,
I
you guys
appreciate
are
that.
dealing with just blades. I'm dealing with all the know-it-alls in the air gun community,
Yeah.
in the archery community, in the back.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Hey, I just got some slingshots now. We got to talk. I just got actually, you posted a comment from Donald Gideon. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, Donald Mike Gideon. I just got a couple.
Put in the stop button, Jerks. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're gonna have to talk some because he sent me some slingshots. I'm pretty fired up about that. I've already been shooting them through the neighborhood. So
put you a tree stand behind the house and go after some wild hogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It all depends on where you hang your hat, where you dwell. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, one of the best times that I had just making videos on YouTube is really when I visited Scab in Florida.
Yeah.
And I went to where he cuts, you know, in his Florida swamp there. I had the time of my freaking life. I mean, it was just, you know, it was free. You could do what you want. I mean, coming from New York, it's, you know, it's tough.
Scab,
it's not easy. You don't have that.
Is that woods behind your house? How far is that behind your house? Just close one?
Yeah, it's probably a 50-yard walk. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
That wood that's behind your house?
It's actually there in front.
Is it?
It's one of the cool. Joe's seen it, and we had a blast. We walked down the road with swords and all kind of stuff.
Oh,
everybody here's used to it, but that makes total sense. And I didn't want to interrupt you when you were talking, but when you were talking about going 120 miles, man, you've got to have a set, at least an outline. That's totally, I'll walk in my front yard and make a 50-yard trip and we're cut. So I can afford to go. Yeah. I can afford to run back and cut something else. But 120 miles, man, that's big.
Especially with gas at $6 a gallon out here right now.
How much?
$6
by you? Wow.
Yeah.
What you got, Joe?
All right. So the number, John, what number did you, I'm reading the number at 415. Is that what you got?
415 is my final answer, sir.
415. All right.
Little Jeopardy talk there.
415 is the winning number. So, Gerbs, Grugs, if you guys can look it up, see who came closest to 415. Actually, and it's got to be between the start and stop button, guys. So let me see if I can go back. All right, starts right there. 415 is a winning number, whoever came closest.
You get a lot of wild hogs coming up in your yard?
We don't know, but now here's what's crazy. Where we go in the swamp, there's hogs and deer, right? And moccasins everywhere. But about 3 miles down the road, I saw some trail cam pictures the other day of 2 bears.
Oh, wow. And
for California and for other parts of the world, but for Florida to have 2, and I think they were both around 600-pound. One, you know, those big feeders, those big $1,000 feeders that people buy. Okay, I watched the video of this bear just destroyed it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just like, But what's
Well,
crazy is the black bears hang out in the swamps too.
That is nuts.
It's wild.
We don't have any bears south of Highway 10, which is probably about a good 3-hour drive for me. But we got some pretty big mountain lions down here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, we got the Florida Panther now. They're more aloof. Y'all got more. Y'all got those are. Have you ever seen one in the wild?
Oh hell, I've seen a couple. I seen them more when I used to mountain bike race because I used to train and ride trails and stuff. And you'd be able to roll up quiet on a lot of wildlife. You know, that they don't hear you.
Yeah.
And
which can be dangerous.
It can. I mean, I've had coyotes chase me on mountain bike. We could do a whole nother show just on wild animal encounters on the YouTube channel.
Guys, let me break in. I think that the closest to 415 was That's Right. That's his name. That's Right. Came in at 425. Let's check that out.
The accounting firm.
Huh?
The accounting firm.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that's right. I think you won the knife. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. 425, I think, came closest. I think we got a winner.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Let me see. That's saying Dwayne. Did Dwayne come closer? Let me see. No, Dwayne's at 405. Well, let me see.
Somebody had 405 and 425.
Yeah, somebody had 405. Yeah, I actually think Dwayne came in on top of that.
Yeah, he's 10. Oh, they're both 10 away.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
It's a 3-way. It's a Menarge giveaway.
They're 2 away. Oh, man.
Well, why don't we do this? We'll give the Laguna to one, and I'll give one of the knives I'm giving away to the other.
That sounds good. So we have to do it over again. So we got 2 winners here. So we got Dwayne. We got That's Right. And then we got Dwayne Letterman that both won a knife. So that is awesome. Congratulations, guys. Very cool. Very, very cool.
I'll give away this top since we talked about tops. I'll give away this Mountain Bushman.
Ooh.
That's nice.
That way we got 2.
So this is one of those drawings that no matter which knife you get, you're going to get a good freaking knife, guys. So that's awesome.
That way we're good both ways.
Yes, that is mint.
All right.
Knock off 2 birds with 1 stone.
Hell, I want to win that tops knife.
Man, I'll tell you what I did, John. I had a couple. The guy who got me into knives, Kirk, lives 2 streets over, and we did a couple trades. And I've got a couple of. He traded me the Mountain Lion, which I like, and I've got one that I've got the Jackal, the Tops Jackal. I don't know if you've seen that one. I've got to do a review.
Yeah, I think I have.
I like it, but I'm a big tops guy now. I like tops. Ooh, I like that a lot.
That looks like it's really nice in the hands.
I cut the tip of my finger off with this here at the house, sharpening it. Because the beard is razor sharp. And it took the tip of my index finger right off. So that's a crazy story. Luckily, one of my viewers, I posted a photo online, and one of my viewers is a veterinarian, horse doctor. And he says, go buy a bottle of colloidal silver, soak gauze in colloidal silver, and keep it wet for a week. And I'll be damned if it didn't heal that up in less than 2 weeks. I'm serious. The whole end of my finger was gone.
Yeah.
And
I love the look for that.
He said, John, we use it on $1 million horses. It worked. But yeah, this is a good system. I mean, I tested this out, and it comes with the little the wolf pup. Get back where you can see it.
That.
Nice.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, let's do. Go ahead, John.
Tops has a lot of cool stuff like that. You know, that saber tooth I saw you do, the only thing that scared me on that was that hook underneath on the beard. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if my hand slips. That's an ER visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that too. Like, did you feel at any time that you could kind of lose grip, and then it looks a lot more dangerous until you hold it, I think, right?
Yeah, and I had a huge. It obviously was a concern. But what I did, the way they've contoured that handle, when you chop with it never was an issue. Now, I did get a couple cuts, but not from chopping at all, not hot spots at all. I went to turn the damn thing around to show an upside down, just show that grip. And I got myself twice with that beard. But most people aren't going to be spinning it around if you got common sense. I don't. But it brought home the point. One, you better know what you're doing and pay attention. And two, it's sharp as shit. But I was concerned about that too. But it worked out really well.
So I'm going to interview you guys really quick. Quick question, then we'll let you guys go. What sort of first aid kit do you guys carry doing knife stuff? Because about a couple months ago, I had a serious incident with my friend Jaime. Got seriously cut, and we were out in the middle of the woods, an hour away from a hospital. Do you guys have anything at the house?
No, I carry obviously gauze. I also carry duct tape, but I carry it, and I'm drawing a total brain fart, but John, I have a good blood clotter that actually, I about cut this finger off with an Emerson CQC7 at work. Actually about cut these two off. And I wished I think I got the clotter at REI or something like that, but I make sure I have some, because I'm on 2 or 3 blood pressure medicines too.
Yeah.
So I make sure I have a good blood clotter, some gauze, and learned it from Blackie. I put some duct tape in the bag.
Yeah, out in the woods, I carry a blowout kit because
I'm never out in the woods. So
yeah, but
I'm literally, I walk over to urgent care, on my corner. So, that's just, but that's me. That's me. I mean, listen, I'll have Band-Aids in my pocket and stuff like that and whatever. But for the most part, I'm never that far from getting help if, God forbid, something happened. Because I hear you. I agree with you.
We play around with him. It's not a question if you're going to get cut. It's when you're going to get cut. You are going to get cut.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And anybody that thinks it's not, you're in the wrong game. And
I'm just hoping that I don't do it on camera.
Well, that's the 1 million views video, man.
No, I don't want to be like Tex Grebner that shot himself. Tex Grebner's a good friend of mine. But that video will forever define Tex Grebner shooting himself.
Yeah.
So listen, first of all, we want to congratulate Dwayne Letterman, and that's right. You're not going to be able to know what knife you're getting. It's going to be whatever you get, but they're both solid, amazing knives, which is awesome. I'm very happy that it worked out this way. You guys both won. You guys are both getting knives. So congratulations to you guys. Congratulations. And thank you to everyone that joined us in the chat room. John, I want to ask you, what do you have planned? Like what ideas you have planned as far as continuing with your knife designing? I know you can't be specific, but just a general idea.
I'm working on a little bit bigger fixed blade, one that is an iconic style, but with my twist on it.
Okay.
And when I reveal it, folks are going to know. They're going to say, "Oh, you did this," but I'm changing the handle a little bit because here's a news flash: there are no new knife designs out there. There aren't.
Thank you.
They're just improved.
That's Scab.
Our thought is that it's an improved old version.
Yeah.
So there's no new knife design. Everything's been done that can possibly be done.
Yeah,
right.
Other than maybe some crazy fantasy blade.
Yeah.
But because there's some really cool Rambo fantasy knives that are out there that I'd really like. But that's another story too. I had done, me and my friend Jaime did a series on the knives of Rambo, and we broke down every movie. The designer did all that. I shot the whole movie, came home, and it wasn't on the card.
Oh shit!
Are you serious?
And it was
my god!
This was the money moment. It was like him and I were like just ebony and ivory. We were clicking. We were going at it because we love all the Rambo movies and we love those knives. So we had a passion for it. I had so much backstory that I had put into every freaking knife design. Get home and it's like, I called him up and go, bro, it can't use the footage. He's like, whoa, what? I go, well, that's a practice run.
Wait, let me ask you a question. I know it's been there. Did the card get corrupted where it couldn't be read?
It could be read, but when I put it into my editing software,
yeah,
the video was so crappy that I'm like, there's no way in hell I can put this out there. I wasn't even gonna try to salvage it. It was like,
that's weird. Okay,
you know, the color was it just, there must have been like Richard Crenna, Colonel Troutman in the background, freaking influencing the camera. I don't know, but that video is still in the works. Jaime and I are still going to do it. We got to get together. But
hey, listen, you'll make it better. That's it. You learn from it. You make it better. That's
we were doing the knives and the bows that were used in every Rambo movie, and the real world of, like, because Jaime used to be in Special Forces, having that Special Forces take on what was the influence behind this and the history that went into it. Nobody steal our idea, because I will hunt you down. But now make your own. I love watching stuff, so post up your stuff like that.
Yeah. John, listen, guys, if you guys are not subscribed to Wingman 115, I put his link up there, but it's very easy. It's just go in, take a look, sub to all of us, guys. And definitely check out Wingman 115. He's got great videos. He's got my vision as far as how he approaches, and I respect him for that. I'm glad I found another one of me out there. So that's man cool. But yes, it's this was a great show. You fascinated me with a lot of things and a lot of your backstories. I respect you for a lot of things you had to say. I really do, and I agree with you. And I also, I respect you for also what you give back to the veterans and just, to give them that space and give them that time. I think that's an enormous person that you are, that you're able to do that and give that time. And I respect you 100% for doing that. That's awesome.
Well, Triple B is still around. If you Google it and you want to help, they'll take donations, and it goes to a good cause of getting vets out there in the outdoors.
Fantastic.
So
Triple B Adventures. Okay. Absolutely.
B, like the letter B, boy.
Yeah.
Adventures. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm all about that.
Keep that in my notebook. Okay. Excellent. So, again, John, great job on the Mount Laguna.
Thank you.
I really do love it. I wish I can carry it with me every day. I can't.
You can.
But
put it in your pocket.
Stick it straight in my pocket. Yeah, I know. I gotta keep it concealed. But I'll have the dumb fucking luck that basically I'm around, blowing a red light, and it's like, oh, what's that bulge in your freaking pants over there? I says, no, I'm not happy to see you. So it's and I'll be the knucklehead that freaking gets busted for the one time I carry my fixed blade.
That'd be a good show.
Yeah. Make sure to keep the camera running.
Well, I want to say that I appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you guys are doing for the knife community.
Thank you.
And keep doing these videos, guys, because you are going to grow this genre, this platform that you guys are doing. It's a nice platform where folks come in, feel welcome, feel at ease to be able to talk. We're just talking, a couple of guys here having a conversation. And I want to thank everybody that watched tonight on the live stream in the chat room.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be here without you folks, and I really appreciate you guys and gals out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're looking forward to whatever's coming out of that brain of yours for the next night for Work
Oh,
Tough Gear.
we have some ideas. I just got to get the
Yeah.
time to execute them.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And, listen, much respect to all you guys that are involved with Work Tough Gear, because I don't know if you guys find Vic or Vic finds you guys, but you guys just, blend together, man. You guys do some good stuff out there.
I think the Facebook page has a lot to do with it. The Facebook fan page.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to go there. Everybody needs to go to Work Tough Gear Adventure Team, because people ask about drops. And let me say this first to everybody in the comments. Guys, I love y'all. God knows I do. And thank y'all for being here.
Thank you guys.
I know some folks have messaged me. It's going to be tomorrow before I can get back with you, but I love y'all. But John, I did want to say this, and I've lost my damn train of thought. What was I talking about?
You thanked everybody in the room.
Yeah, but I don't care about that.
I don't know what were you going to say though after that.
I don't know. Everybody's thankful for me. They're thankful for old Scab. I had a brain fart. I had something really deep I was going to say, and I just shot that shit.
Shit.
We could have had a moment, Scab.
We
could have had a moment.
Had it, and it was gone. That's the story of my life.
When you think about it again, Scab, go.
I still don't know. I just looked over here. Here's what I need, John. I'm going to need a glossy 8x10 of you. I don't know if you can see this. This is my wall of fame.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind a short guy with a tall cowboy hat, I'll
send it on, because I
send
love having all the pictures.
I'll send you a photo. You can print it.
Yes, sir. Hey, here's what I was going to say, and I do mean this with all my heart. With the Facebook thing, thank you to you. Thank you to every designer for being open and available when people comment. That's what draws me. I just reviewed a few Work Tough Gears, and Mr. Vic has been fantastic to me. But I feel like I'm part of the Work Tough Gear family because of you guys, and I'm dead serious. It's nice when I see a comment to you or to Dave or to Zeke or to whoever, and y'all answer. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. That means a lot to me, and I think that's why I think there's plenty of reason Work Tough Gear's growing and will blossom and prosper. But that has to be said. So thank you, man. That means a lot to everybody that you guys are willing to say, "Hey, I'll answer your question," or "Hey, how you doing?" It's awesome. Huge. It's huge. It makes people feel welcome, and I appreciate you for that.
Sometimes it takes a while. I mean, as the channel's growing, between messages and emails, it's probably about 100 to 200 a day sometimes to go through. But we, during lunch breaks and whatever, we try to get her done.
And it matters. It does. Well, listen, thank you for being here.
Thanks, John.
No problem.
Everybody in the chat, this has been awesome. I've enjoyed it. And
thanks
Joe,
for having me. If you guys ever want like crazy stories like Bigfoot adventures and animals and stuff like that, we'll do this.
We'll do it again. We'll do
maybe
it
a Halloween.
It doesn't have to be for your next knife either. It could be before that.
No, you're coming.
I've even got good ghost stories, man. I'll share.
Without a doubt. We'll definitely. It's a date, same place. All right, same place, same seat. All right,
that'll work.
Thank you. It was a pleasure knowing you, speaking to you beforehand, speaking to you on the live. It was a pleasure knowing you, and I can sincerely call you a friend, and I'm happy about that. And we'll definitely catch each other around on each other's videos and all that stuff. But yeah, definitely we'll do this again.
Love you, Joe.
Hey, Meg. Love you too, babe. Happy belated birthday. Let me say it to you in person. Happy birthday, girl.
Thank you, babe. Love you. All right, I'll go.
And thanks everybody in the room. I know we didn't really get to the chat room enough, but Ali Carroll joined us late. Gerbs, thanks for Gerbs and Grugs. Thanks for moderating. I'll go.
Thanks, guys. Grugs is a good dude, and so is Gerbs.
Everybody, all good dudes in the room. Really good supporters of us, our community, our channels, and Blade Talk. And we really sincerely appreciate you guys being here and watch us ramble and do our thing in front of you. And I hope it was entertaining. You got something out of it. And thank you all. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks, John.
Good night,
Scab,
guys.
have a good night, bud. Let me just end it off.
Good night.